Welcome. Today I want to talk about the 10 most important things I've learned and that I currently do that help me bootstrap a $5 per month investment into a $50,000 plus per month passive income online publishing business, basically with websites. It's an amazing business. To get started, to hear these really valuable tips, it took me several years to learn and that I now do. Put in your email in the form and we'll get right into it. All right, today's training is going to be about an hour long, jam-packed, primarily covering the most important things I do to build up a successful online publishing business. These are 10 things I've learned through trial and error, being in the trenches over the course of 6 years. Actually, I've been online since 2012, but I really got into online publishing big time starting in 2014. First question to address is, who is this training for? Well, it's for anyone who's looking really to start a fun business. This is fun because you get to deal with topics that you're passionate about. And it's for anyone who's looking to start an online business. This is by far my favorite online business model. I've tried several over the years. Like I said, I started in 2012. When I discovered this particular online publishing model, I was like totally hooked. I love it. I know lots of people are. I get a lot of questions from people about how to get started in this business. And so I put together this training. So what's great about it is you can start part-time. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to have a degree. You don't need a certification or anything or any sort of level of education. You can do this. I started with a full-time demanding job. I just did it nights and weekends and slowly built it up. Eventually, I had built up our online revenue that far exceeded what I was earning at my job, and that was the point at which I went full-time, and it's grown very quickly ever since. So if you're looking for a fun business to do, something that you can build up over time on the side, or maybe you have a full-time availability, you can do it that way. That obviously maybe make it work a little bit faster. This is something to check out. So stay tuned for all the training because I'm going to go into a lot of really cool details really about the most important things I've learned over the last 6 years in this business. Just to give you a sense about who I am, my name is John Dykstra. I used to practice law. I'm still technically a lawyer. I keep my ticket. I like having my ticket, but I don't practice law anymore. And I was running a law firm and I started doing SEO for the law firm and I fell in love with whole online blogging business. I started a blog for the firm. It worked really well, got a lot of new clients. And I found I was more interested in the actual marketing of legal services than doing them. So I made a switch. And I switched and did some work for other law firms. And then eventually I discovered this online publishing business where I don't have any clients and I don't have any income ceiling whatsoever. I could build these really fun websites on topics that I'm interested in, that I love covering, that I like writing about, that I like working with writers about, and ever since then I haven't looked back. So that's my background. What's interesting is this business really does have no income ceiling. And for me, it's been growing every year for the most part since I got started. When I got started, my dream revenue was $15,000 per month working online, blogging and publishing niche sites that I was really interested in. I thought that would be amazing. And I eventually hit that. Actually, that didn't take me very long. And I've blown past that to well over 50,000. And it fluctuates a little bit month to month, but in recent months, it's been well in excess of $50,000 per month. I just use that number because, well, it's a sizable number and it's accurate. In fact, it's underreporting. So it's very exciting to just see and work on a business that can just keep on growing month after month. So what is it exactly that I do? Well, I've already mentioned I publish what I call niche sites or blogs. And essentially what they are is, and you no doubt have visited them, is they are a website on a particular topic. And the reason I love this so much is because I get to pick the topic and I pick topics that actually interest me. And you could do the same. And that's what's great about it. You don't have to deal with topics that aren't interesting. You don't have to, you don't have clients that are telling you, I want you to write about or do SEO or get traffic for this particular topic. You get to pick. So if you have a sport or a hobby or an interest, or maybe you have extensive experience from your career that you can apply to something that the entire world is information that they'd want to learn about, you can do that. There is really nearly unlimited number of topics that you can go into. And that's what I love about this business, because it allowed me to work on something I'm really interested in, and I get to do it every day. In fact, I own a few niche websites, and they're all in topics that I really love. So I'll just give you an example. One is about smartwatches. Now this is a fairly narrow topic, and I may expand it into wearables generally, but it's on smartwatches. And why? Because I've always loved tech watches. Even when I was a kid, I liked those video game watches. They were very rudimentary at the time, but I was fascinated by them. And I also had a calculator watch. I was fascinated by that. It was a simple calculator, but I thought it was so cool. I could have these tech gadgets on my wrist. And then, of course, well, now a few years ago, we had the launch of a smartwatch, and it was a no-brainer for me. I was into it. I bought one fairly quickly, and I bought several since. In fact, I bought dozens just because I started a site on it, and I write about them, I review them, and I compare them, and I find them fascinating, and so it's become a fun site for me that also makes money. So that's just one example of so many that you can do. Now, as I said, a lot of people ask me a lot of questions about what I do, because clearly it's a pretty interesting, novel way to earn a living. And so a few of the really common questions are, I'm gonna cover quickly before we jump into the really most important things that I've learned and that I do to really grow this business to 50,000 plus per month in revenue. Okay, so the first thing that I get is, everybody asks me this, especially if they're brand new exposure. Well, how did you learn how to code? How did you learn how to build websites? Well, this is a cool thing in today's age, is you don't need to know how to code anything. I don't know how to code. I don't know PHP, I don't know CSS, I don't know any language to build any website. All I do is I use the software services out there, which cost literally $5 per month to get started. I was spending $5 per month. I bootstrapped it into a really big business, and they provide everything you need. It's like literally, if you can use a mouse and you can click a mouse, if you could buy something on Amazon, you can build a website and get started. So that is not a problem. If you're worried about coding and worried that you're gonna have to learn coding, don't worry about it. You don't need it. I still don't know how to code. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I never plan to learn how to code. If ever I need to do something that involves coding, I can hire somebody. But even that, you don't have to worry about. When you're getting started, it's all taken care of for you. Another big question I get is, John, how much do I have to write? How much content do I have to put out? Okay, well, this is a content business. You are a publishing business. And so you're going to need to put out content. Now, I bootstrapped it, writing it all myself. I like writing. I like the topics that I've chosen for my site. So in the beginning, I wrote, and this for a number of years, I wrote everything myself, and I wrote a ton. And it really helped because it kept my expenses low, and I grew my niche sites fairly quickly because I wrote pretty good stuff. Now, you don't have to write everything. There are lots of writers for hire. There are freelancers out there that are excellent. In fact, I now employ writers who are better writers than I am, and they know the topics better than me. And so I'm fortunate to be able to hire them. You can hire them right away if you have the money to do so. If you don't, yes, you're going to have to write. If you're not interested in writing anything, you don't want to do it, then you probably want to look for something else. But if you like writing and you have a topic that you're interested in, this is a really, really great business. Now, if you don't like writing and you'd rather do video, actually video is huge these days, and I'm just getting started with video. I think the potential for video is astronomical. You could do the video route and do less writing, because once you make really cool videos, you can use services to transcribe them, and you'd have your content for your website, and you have your video for your website and the other video platforms like YouTube, etc. So you can go that route as well. The point is that you're putting out really good, fascinating, interesting, entertaining, informative, whatever it is, content that covers a topic for your audience. And that's the key. It has to be good content. If your audience likes it, if they're looking for it, if you deliver what you promise, you can build a really successful publishing business. Another question I get quite a bit is, well, what sort of education or qualifications do I need? Well, this is another really cool thing, and this is probably another reason it's quite a popular pursuit, is you don't need a degree, you don't need an education, you don't need anything. There are no barriers to entry with this business except the $5 to get some website hosted and get started. That's it. So a lot of people do jump into it for that reason, because there's a lot of jobs. I mean, I used to practice law, and well, there are a lot of degrees that you need, and it takes a long time, and there's a regulatory body, and there's all of this, and that's the case for a lot of higher paying jobs. You think accounting and engineering and being a teacher and being a lawyer and being a doctor, all of these positions that pay reasonably well require a lot of education. Not this. This is great. You don't need any education whatsoever. You can sell writing services without any degree. You just go online. You could sell if you want to start making some money. And in fact, if you are a good writer and you want somebody to come in fairly quickly, you could freelance and then build up your own sites on the side. A lot of people have done that. You can offer marketing services, whatever. You don't need any degree to do any of this. You just need to have the skills, and it's not hard to get the skills, you just have to do it. Another common question I get from a lot of people who are interested in this is, how much does it cost to get started? Well, I mentioned right off the bat that I basically took $5 per month investment, I bootstrapped it, and that's really what it costs, is $5. And that $5 is for website hosting. You need a server or host to actually get your site on the web. What's great is most of the website hosting services out there these days basically have like drag and drop, just click, and they'll get your site live for you using whatever platform you want. Most people use WordPress, and if you're even remotely haven't looked into this sort of line of work, you're familiar with WordPress. And so yes, literally it's $5 per month for these lower cost hosting packages. Don't get swindled into paying 30, 40, 50 bucks per month for hosting because you think it's better and that you need it. You do not need that. You need I got along with $5 per month hosting for years. In fact, I didn't make the jump to more expensive hosting and bigger programs until I was generating something like 500,000 visits per month. And that was the point where I jumped into more expensive hosting. I could, the site paid for that and then some. So don't go pay for all expensive tools and software. You don't need any of that. Keep your expenses as low as possible when you're starting out. I did, it made a big difference. So you don't need much money at all to get started. And the final question I want to deal with is, isn't blogging and publishing niche sites saturated at this point? I mean, aren't there like millions or perhaps billions of sites out there that, how are you going to break into the market and start getting traffic? Well, no doubt there are a lot of sites out there, no question, okay? But here's the thing. A lot of people don't do a really good job of it. Most people quit. So a lot of these sites out there are just stagnant, just sitting there not doing anything. And on the upswing side is, look, we are on the internet more often for longer than ever before. Basically everything and everywhere we go involves the internet. We have our mobile devices. We have access to the internet everywhere we go. And that means people are on the internet a lot, okay? Which means there's basically more demand for websites. People are performing more and more searches. People are on social media getting driven to lots of different websites all the time. And so the actual demand for consuming content and information on the web is growing. And while there are a lot of publishers that are serving that, in my view, this is a really great opportunity at this point because I think the demand is going to continue growing worldwide for access to really good content. The other way to approach this and think about this, and I do this extensively, I've put a lot of time and thought and effort into this, and that is I want to try to be the best publisher in my niche that I cover. And I try to do the best job that I can. And I'm going to cover that in the training that we're going to get to next in some ways about how you can do that. But strive to be the best. You don't want to be mediocre. You don't want to be bad. Even if there was very little competition, you wouldn't get much traffic. So if you're going to do this, strive to be really good at it. You don't necessarily have to be the absolute best within your niche, but strive to be really good and put out really good content. And if you do that, you are going to have a huge advantage over so many sites out there that typically do a really bad job. Okay, now that we've got some of the most common problems or questions and concerns that I receive weekly out of the way, let's jump into the absolute most important things that I do and I've learned over the 6 years that I've been publishing my niche sites and blogs. The first tip, and this is really important, is to choose a niche or topic that you're interested in. Now, a lot of people talk about choose something that will make you a lot of money. And there are definitely some niches that earn more money than others. I've learned that firsthand. In fact, I own a number of sites. Some sites earn more per 1,000 visitors than others. That's the way niches work, okay? Because some have maybe more commercial viability to them, okay? I strongly suggest that you choose something that you're really interested in because you are going to spend a lot of time on this topic. Now, if you get your first site and it's earning good money and you've grown it and you've built it and you want to start something else and you've got your own systems in place and you know what you're doing and you want to choose something where you don't not necessarily interested in, but you can hire people to handle all the writing and everything at that point because you have all this revenue coming in, by all means, you can do that. But when you're starting out and you're going to be doing most of it yourself and likely most of the writing or the videos or whatever it is, how you're going to produce your content, it's really important that you be interested in it because it's going to make you a big difference in that you're going to get far more likely stick with it. You're probably going to be able to produce better content because you are interested in it. Maybe you have some experience with it. You're going to dig deep and do what is necessary to actually make this work. And because you're going to spend so much time in it, being interested in it is absolutely key. I chose my biggest niche site, the site that earns by far the most money. It's well over $50,000 per month from one site. And I chose it because I had a lifelong interest in it. I really do. I'm still interested in it. 6 years after devoting a big chunk of my life to it, I'm still very interested in it. And had I chosen something that I'm not remotely interested in, I may have, kicked it along for 3 or 6 months, but I am convinced I never would have grown it to where it is today. So choose something that you're interested in. So at this point, you're probably thinking, well, John, you keep mentioning this word niche or topics. And what is it that you're actually talking about? Okay, well, a niche is a topic within the world. Okay, so there are lots of niches. One example would be woodworking. Another example would be knitting. These are sort of fall under the hobbyist type of niches. They're sports. Maybe you're really into tennis or volleyball or baseball. Those are all independent niches. Now, you could actually publish a site on sports generally. That would be okay, and you would cover lots of sports, and you can do that as well. So you can sort of what I say niche up, which is a broader approach, or you can niche down. Now, I don't advise you niche down too far, okay? If you're going to do woodworking, that'd be about as far down or as narrow as I would get. I wouldn't go into a specific type of woodworking. Now, you can write or do videos about a specific type of woodworking, but you want to give yourself room for the site to grow. If you really head yourself into something really narrow, that site's not going to be able to grow into a huge site. So there's a balance between, yes, choose a topic, but don't choose it so narrow where you head yourself in and you don't have really good room to grow. So I like topics that are generally like sports, but even if you just chose basketball, for instance, that's a huge topic. I mean, that topic you could write and publish and do videos about indefinitely. Huge audience. If we're talking about footwear, you could cover footwear generally, which would be quite broad, or if you have a penchant for sneakers, which is an interesting niche actually. I think I don't really care about sneakers, but sneakers is one of those apparel type items where people really get into it. They collect them and everything. It's almost like a hobby. In fact, I dare say collecting sneakers is a hobby for a lot of people. So it's kind of a neat niche in that respect. And as you can imagine, it's got a huge commercial viability to it because people, these are expensive and they buy them like crazy. Okay, so these are examples. History, you could choose a period of history or you could choose history in general. Science or nature, these are really big, broad niches. More specific niches would be covering something like minivans. That would be very specific. I think that would be big enough to give you a lot of room for growth because there's always new minivans and multiple companies build minivans or sell minivans. So I think that would be big enough, but you could just go straight up automobiles or cars too. So these are examples of the topics that you would publish your sites about. It's like you go to a bookstore and you see the magazine rack. Pretty much any magazine there is a niche. It's a niche publication. It just happens to be in print. But you can bet your bottom dollar most of them on the rack also have big websites, and probably most of them are making more money from the websites than they do the print subscriptions. But back in the day, that was essentially the niche website. That was all we had was the printed magazine. But now it's online, and it's great because it's available for everybody. You need $5 a month. You don't need to pay a printing press and a whole bunch of infrastructure and overhead to put out some like content and publishing for a large audience. It's so cool. It's amazing, actually. So at the end of the day, as probably at this point you have a lot of ideas floating around in your head about what you'd want to cover and what you want to write about, choose a niche you're interested in. Now, if you're interested in a number of things, that's when you might look at to what would actually result in earning you more money. And to figure that out, there's a number of ways you can do that, but generally speaking, the more products that are being sold within the niche is going to result in more revenue, whether you're going to do affiliate marketing or you're going to use display ads, which I'll talk about shortly down the road in this video, in this presentation, you look at the potential revenue from all sorts of products within the niche. So let me give you an example, okay? And I know from personal experience. The niche movie reviews, while it sounds like a lot of fun, and after all, you get paid to watch and write about movies, what could be more fun? I can tell you from first-hand experience, there's not a lot of commercial viability behind it. There's not a lot of money in it. Because, I mean, really, who's going to advertise there other than a few studios who might, put some trailers and such in their ads on your site? There's not a big market for that. Compare that to the sneaker niche. I mean, we're talking huge money in there. We're talking about the auto or car niche, massive, very, very lucrative. We're not only talking about cars that dealers might want to advertise. And don't worry, I'll get into the whole advertising thing and how to get ads on your site further in this presentation, because it's really easy. I don't think that this is all complicated stuff. It's not. It's really simple. But with the car niche, there's like car parts and accessories and services and local services. Generally speaking, if there's a local business component to a niche, it's going to be more lucrative than one where there isn't, right? So if we take movie reviews, not a lot, or if any, local businesses are really able to advertise, because, I mean, there might be one theater, but it's unlikely they're going to advertise. Whereas if you have a car site, you've got a lot of potential local advertisers, and I'm not saying they're going to advertise specifically on your site, but they're going to know the visitors that are local, and they're going to enter the fray in the whole advertising, and so they're going to be interested. And so you're talking like mechanics, we're talking car dealerships, we're talking tire sales, and whatever, anything related to your car. And there's a lot, so it makes it a lot more commercially viable. So choose your interest first, and if you've got a few interests, then pick based on what you think will earn the most money. Tip number 2. All right, I've already talked about ads. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about, is monetizing with display ads. Now, if you're very new to this and you've maybe done some reading online, or maybe you're around the block and all you've done is affiliate marketing, you've probably read a lot about monetizing niche sites and blogs with affiliate links and doing affiliate marketing, which is essentially being given a special link that you would link to an online store where a visitor clicks through to that, and you're going to earn a percentage of that sale. It's a results-based business model, which is fantastic, right? And it can be very lucrative, and I do it. It forms a small part of my business, but a very small part. What was mind-blowing to me, what was a major aha moment in my business, is when I switched to display ads. And that is just simple banner ads that are provided to you from what are big ad networks. They just give you a little snippet of code you got to put on your site. That's it. If you can copy and paste, you can get ads put on your site. A good one to get started with when your site is fairly new, but it should be looking good, is AdSense, which is owned by Google. That's where you would start. When you get to 10, 15,000 page views per month, you would move to something like Ezoic, which they have a minimum. And once you're in with them, you're going to earn far more from display ads. And from there, you can move up to even more premium ad networks. The more traffic you get, the more access you get to higher paying ads. But the point is they essentially just give you a snippet of code, you copy paste it, they'll tell you exactly where to put it, and that's all you do. And you have ads, and advertisers bidding for these spots. It's all done through the whole computer system, and they're bidding in split-second time for every little position on your site, and you get paid either based on the number of times ads are displayed, which is by impressions, or by clicks. Now, AdSense typically will pay you by the number per click, whereas the ad networks are going to pay you on per impressions, which is the model I prefer, because you don't always have someone clicking your ads. So anyways, that's why they end up paying more. And you don't have to worry about all that. The point is that monetizing with display ads instead of just affiliate marketing gives you the opportunity to cover almost any topic, which is really huge, right? If you're doing affiliate marketing, you're going to focus on content where people are very close to buying something. So you might focus on product reviews. You might focus on comparing products. You might focus on writing what I call best of articles, which are articles that you're basically saying, hey, I'm a blogger in the space. I know all these products. Like for my smartwatch site, I could do the best smartwatch. All right, now it'd be very hard to rank for, but I could do that, right? And I've tested all these, and I do a whole write-up on it. And anybody who's searching best smartwatch is probably very likely going to buy a smartwatch. So they would click a link, and I might link them to Amazon, or I might link them to some merchant that sells them with affiliate links, and I'll get a percentage of that sale. And that can be very lucrative for that type of content. But what if you want to write tutorials, how to do something, how to cut a certain type of joint in a piece of wood, or how to knit a cuff for a baby onesie or something like that, right? There's no real affiliate potential behind that type of content. And yet people search this stuff in the thousands every single month. And the way I see it is I'd much rather write and publish about this non-commercial stuff. It's more fun to write about. You can do opinion pieces, you can do anything, and you still make money with it because of the ads, and you don't have to worry about trying to squeeze out affiliate revenue from all these pieces of income. Now, it doesn't mean you can't do both. You can do both affiliate links and ads on a site, and in fact, I do. You can use the affiliate links on the particular few pieces or many pieces, whatever it is, that are actually successfully selling products with you as an affiliate. And then the rest of your content you can monetize with ads. And so everything makes money. And so display ads was mind-opening. Like, it was blowing. I couldn't believe it, okay? Just to give you background, I got started in this business, in the blogging business, with just affiliate marketing. And so I focused on all this affiliate-friendly type content. And it does get boring to write product reviews and comparisons. I can tell you I wrote a ton of them. So I started a niche site, and it was going to be all affiliate, and I was growing it, and I was getting about 500 visitors per day. I was getting some good Facebook traffic. Facebook traffic typically is not very good for affiliate commissions and promotions. My traffic was growing up, and I hadn't earned a nickel from the site, and I was getting about 500 visitors per day. And I can tell you, 500 visitors per day is pretty good visitor traffic. Your site should be making okay money at that point. And as an affiliate site, I was earning squat, not a nickel. And so I was just like, all right, fine. I had this AdSense account, fortunately. I put some AdSense ads on the site, and I checked the next day, and unfortunately I got a nice little viral bump of traffic from Facebook overnight, but I made $176 from these ads. And I was like, all right, well, forget affiliate marketing. This is it. I'm going to put ads on the site. And I never looked back. I have built the entire business that earns probably at least 90% of revenue based on display ads, not affiliate. I'm all about affiliate marketing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying open your mind and also try display ads on your site if you go that route, if you go with this whole business route, because it can really add a lot of revenue. In fact, I've had people who have long established sites performing well with affiliate marketing only and earning quite a bit with affiliate marketing. They say, hey, John, do you think I should try to put some ads on there? Do you think it'll hurt my affiliate revenue? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think you're actually going to see a net huge increase in your overall revenue. They're like, oh, okay. So they try it, and they put it on there, and they still doing their affiliate stuff, but they add some ads to the site, and the revenue, the overall revenue, just went way up. Okay, they're still making the affiliate revenue, but they're also making money from the ads. So display ads was a game changer for me, and it was huge. And I say this because so many bloggers out there will only tell you to do affiliate marketing. And I think it's such bad advice. In some niches, some very specific niches, affiliate marketing is by far the best, no question, okay? If you got a credit card site, okay, credit card affiliate commissions are massive. If you can rank for credit card stuff, yes, do it, okay, and be an affiliate. Okay, but if you're doing a car site or a knitting site or a woodworking site, you know, display ads are going to be far better for you in my experience. Tip number 3, another huge game changer in my business. Okay, background. When I started what is now my biggest niche site that performs really well, it's essentially a big chunk of my business, I was doing a lot of what the other sites in the niche were doing. And a lot of the other sites were far more established, were bigger, had more traffic, had more authority, and all of this stuff that I couldn't really get a foothold into the search rankings and the industry. But I was doing what they were doing, which was really naive, right? So I wasn't really getting all that far ahead. Facebook traffic was pretty good, so that's why I kind of kept doing it. But the search traffic wasn't happening. And so what I decided to do, and this was actually more of an accident than anything else, I started publishing articles on topics the other sites in my niche were covering. And the only reason I did is I thought they kind of made sense. They were relevant to the niche. I thought they were interesting. In fact, they were sort of a software angle for the particular niche. And I thought it'd be fun, and I did it. And lo and behold, like 3 months later, my search traffic exploded. And it was because of these articles that the other niche sites weren't covering. And essentially all I realized what I had done without actually knowing that I had done it was doing long tail, low competition keywords, particularly low competition. What I ended up doing was targeting keywords and keywords are what people type into Google to search. That's all they are. It can be 1 word, 3 words, 10 words. That's a keyword. It's what they search. It's a search phrase. What I ended up doing was just going and targeting content based on what a lot of other sites weren't doing, which is low competition keywords, which means they're easy to rank in Google because Google is always going to put something in. Every time, have you ever done a search in Google and you got nothing? No, it doesn't happen. Google is going to try to find the most relevant. And if your search is really, really obscure, there may be nothing that's relevant, but Google is going to put something there. So what you want to do is you want to find those topics that aren't well represented on the web, that people haven't really covered well. And if you do, for those searches, Google is going to almost immediately rank you because, well, they got to put something there. And Google really wants to provide the best result for its users. If Google didn't do that, they wouldn't have a business. And so that's what you want to do. You want to look, especially in the start, especially when you're beginning, because you don't have any traffic, you don't have any site authority. You need to find those keywords and search phrases that other sites aren't covering well, but they are search and that there is an audience for it. And you got to figure that out. And you've got to use, there are a number of methods that I actually teach. In fact, more than 10 that I have come up with that are unique approaches to finding these uncovered, obscure search phrases that a lot of other websites or most of them don't do. And if a few do, it's not all that competitive. It's fairly easy to break into. And so the key is finding them, and I teach that extensively in the course. But even if you're not going to get the course, you're just going to do this training, maybe you know enough to know how to go about looking for these obscure keywords. It is a game changer for you because the more you do, the more traffic you're going to get. Now, here's the thing with SEO. Traffic gets traffic, okay? And here's how that works. You get some traffic to your site. What happens is other sites take notice because other sites will link to your site. Other sites link to other sites generally. I link to lots of sites. I reference them. I link to them. I think they're cool. I'll send them a link and link readers to them. I'm not someone who thinks, oh, it's, I don't want to send my readers there and I don't want to, share anything. No, I am very liberal with linking out. And a lot of other websites are too. And what that means is if you cover topics that aren't covered and you're getting traffic and another website publishes an article and it won't be on that article, but they make mention of maybe the topic, they're going to link to your article. Bang, you got a link. You're going to get more traffic. And that more traffic and the link is going to add to the authority of your site, which is going to increase your overall traffic and you're going to rank for more keywords. And when you rank for more keywords, you're going to get more traffic. And so the cycle continues and continues. And it grows and it grows and it grows with your entire site. Now, the growth is going to slow after a number of years. I mean, right now I get between 60 and 100,000 page views, visitors per day from one site. So it's not like I'm doubling growth every year. That would be insane. But in the early years, you can. In fact, you can do more than that because you're new. And if you go about it smart and you do what I'm talking about here, it can make a huge, huge difference. All right. So traffic gets traffic. So you don't need to go after that keyword that gets 100,000 searches per month. In fact, I don't suggest you do that in the beginning. I suggest you find the search words that get 20 searches per month, because at least you get a little bit of traffic. And now it's not going to make you rich, but it's going to start that process of where you're going to be able to grow that traffic. That was a game changer for me. It made a big difference. I still remember it. And I strongly suggest that that's the way you get started with your site if it's brand new. Even if your site's been around a long time and you have quite a bit of traffic, there's no harm in publishing content on these really easy to rank keywords. It's just going to be more traffic, and often it can work in sync with your other content. It's a great model. It's a great strategy. It works fantastic. And I know a lot of readers who have emailed me back after you going through my course or reading this strategy. I've emailed me and said, John, it was like a game changer for me. I've grown my traffic so much. So thanks. So I love to hear that. It didn't just work for me. It works for a lot of other people. Moving on to the next tip, that's number 4, and this is related to what I just talked about with the long tail, obscure, low competition keywords, and that is article clusters. Remember I said, well, if you're an established site and I suggested that this this approach, this long tail keyword approach, is actually really good to do when you have an established site as well. Because what you want to do eventually is you want to, what I call, cluster your content. And that means write a lot of content on a very, very specific topic. Now, you don't want to have the same, you don't want multiple articles covering the exact same topic, but you want to cover it like a series, right? It could be, you could almost view it like a small nonfiction book where everything's very tightly related and it's all interlinked. And this is really, really good to do for SEO. It's really good for readers, and it makes for a powerhouse site. And again, I kind of stumbled on this as I was going along several years ago with my niche site. Remember, I told you how I sort of published 1 or 2 articles on that topic that other sites hadn't, and my traffic started exploding. Well, fortunately, I had the foresight to realize, well, if Google is liking my site for that topic, chances are, if I publish more on that topic, if I really cover that topic extensively, Google's going to like all of that content, and I may get a lot more traffic. And that's exactly what I did. And so I what I call carpet bomb that entire topic. I looked for every keyword and every subtopic I could, and I wrote a series of about 30 articles to date. That same cluster or series still gets a pile of traffic, and it's very lucrative to this day on that site. And that's because I clustered everything. Everything's interlinked on the site. Google knows that my site covers this topic in depth, more in depth than any other website out there. And I can say that confidently because I know all the other sites in my niche. And so I enjoy a ton of traffic. Now, I didn't just stop there with that one cluster. I now apply the cluster concept to almost every topic that happens to kind of start doing well on my site. If a particular topic doesn't do well at all, I may not do a cluster on that. But if a particular topic is starting to show some promise, I'll do keyword research, and I will cover every single little topic and keyword that I can within that cluster. And it may only be 5 articles, it may be 10, it may be up to 50. I've done 50 article clusters. And these make these like powerhouse subsections on a site that Google will rank. And all of that can pull in so much traffic. And so clustering makes a huge difference. And I'm not the only one who does this. Other people have talked about it, but I do it extensively on my sites. I've written about it for years, and I've noticed it. And it wasn't, I didn't start doing this because I had read about it. I did this because I noticed how effective it was on my site. Everything I'm telling you today in this presentation is based on my actually doing this type of work, actually having niche sites. The site FatStacks, where I talk about all this stuff, is not my only site. I own a number of other sites where I'm actually doing this. I've done it for years. This is in the trenches results that I'm telling you about, and this is why it works, and this is again why I'm telling you about it. Okay, tip number 5, which is going to be a little bit more technical, and it revolves around tagging your posts properly on your niche site. Now, if you've never built a site and you're completely new to this, this will make no sense, but I'll try to give it some context. If you have a site, this is a really important tip. Okay, now with WordPress, which is what the platform or website builder most people use, it's free, you just need website hosting. You can assign different ways, what are called taxonomies, for your visitors and for you to organize your content. So the higher level one is a category. That makes sense, right? So you got an article. Let's say you have a sneaker site and you have basketball shoes that you write about. Well, the category could be basketball shoes. Another category could be running shoes. Okay, so those are categories. Now you have another way to organize the content, and it's called tags, and you can tag them. Now, the rule of thumb typically is you assign one category to an article. But with tags, you can assign multiple tags to an article. You don't have to assign any tag to an article. You typically have to assign a category to every article, otherwise it remains uncategorized. But for tags, that's optional. But I highly recommend that as your site grows, that you plan out and create a very, very well thought out tagging structure, which is basically a list of tags that you use. I will not create a new tag until I have 4 articles that I can assign to it. I don't want a bunch of articles with just one, a bunch of tags with just one article to it. I want my tags to at least have 4 articles, and most of them usually have more. Okay, I'm going to get into why tags are important in a minute. Okay, they're important for a number of reasons. It's very easy to create a tag, plan them out, and another thing that I do, now this is clearly optional, It's up to you, but I actually index my tag archive pages. And the reason I do that is I have a very carefully structured set of tags. I don't have hundreds or thousands of them. I make sure each one counts and has a lot of articles assigned to it. And so these create what are archive pages, a list of posts that are all grouped together, and Google will index this because a lot of people out there say, oh, you got to no index your tag archives, and no, otherwise it's going to be thin content. And yeah, it will be thin content if you don't tag properly. If you tag properly, indexing them with Google is, in my view, a smart move. Now, if you're really risk averse, then don't. But I do it. To me, it makes good sense. And so what I'm doing with these tags is I'm furthering the whole cluster concept. I'm communicating to Google that I have all these articles that have this particular tag assigned to it, and so my site covers this very, very well. Now, is that going to be the only thing I need to do to communicate to Google that I cover that particular topic well? No, but it's one aspect of many, and I think it's very important. And I create these tag archive pages where all those articles show up, just those articles with the tag, and so Google, and it's indexed with Google, and so Google knows that this site covers this very, very well. And I think it's very effective. But not only is it effective for communicating to Google, it's also very handy for your own organization in terms of interlinking. A very simple way to interlink and find what articles should be interlinked is you go into your tags and you click the content count, and you go in and you have all the articles that have a particular tag to it. And it's really, really great because now you have all these related articles and you can interlink them together in any fashion that you like. And it's a very quick and easy way to figure out the best way to interlink content on your site. So that's another really good reason to take care and do a really good tagging strategy. And the last reason, which results in a lot of revenue, is you can do some really cool surgical affiliate promotions to your website visitors with proper tagging. Okay, I use a software called ConvertBox. All right, now you don't have to worry about this if you're just getting started. If you have an existing site with quite a bit of traffic, pay attention. You use this software, and there's others out there, OptinMonster and others. And what you can do is you can create these pop-up boxes that will show up to visitors, but you can control them which pop-up box shows up by tag on your site. So you can create a separate affiliate promotion, and these pop-up boxes will say something like, oh, check out my favorite basketball shoe, click here button. And I'll have an affiliate link to wherever you could buy these. Maybe it's Amazon or somewhere else. And you can target it specifically to your basketball shoes category or tag, or however you tag it. And that's really, really cool, because this way you're going to present offers to people who are really interested in that. And you can do it for every tag on your site. In fact, I have my biggest site, I literally have dozens of these boxes that all pop up and are all programmed to pop up by tag. So it's a very powerful way to add a really nice revenue stream. Now, I know I talked a lot about how I primarily monetize with display ads. Well, this is the one way I actually do affiliate marketing that doesn't cannibalize my display ads at all. These pop-up boxes only show up when a visitor is about to leave the site, which is really cool tack. So they're about to leave, so I make this offer and I get a lot of click-throughs, and I make a lot of money from affiliate commissions because instead of just leaving the site, they click a link that's relevant to them and they go buy something. So tagging is really cool. It doesn't take a lot of effort to do, and the benefits are huge, and it's been a big, big, big positive for my publishing business. Okay, tip number 6. I love this as well. I think you're getting a sense. I love all these tips. Well, they've made a huge impact on my business. I'm basically giving you sort of the secret blueprint how to publish really good, successful niche sites as quickly as possible. A lot faster than I did, just because I had to figure this stuff out over the years. Okay, this is what I call the content analysis tip. And this is almost like cheating with ranking content in Google. Now, I'm not the only one that does this. Lots of people do it. But here's the great thing. Here's what I love about tips like this, is that, yes, other sites do it, but you know what? Most don't. When you could take advantage of a tactic or a strategy that most people don't do out there, gives you such a huge advantage. It can be so valuable. It's great. Now, content analysis is one of those. Unfortunately, it's really easy to do. Okay, what is content analysis? Content analysis is taking your content. So let's say you have a draft article, or let's say you have some articles published on your site already. You just copy, paste them in a particular software, or like Surfer SEO, MarketViews if you have a lot of money, Phrase.io, that's frase.io. There's a few others. ClearScope, it's a little bit more expensive. These are all what are called content analysis software. And what you do is you plug your article in there. What the software is going to do, and it's so awesome, it's going to analyze your article against the top 10 or 20 or 30 articles in Google for that specific keyword phrase, and then it's going to suggest to you additional words and topics that you should cover, and in some cases questions and headings and a few other formatting issues that you need to include in your article in order for it to be better than what's already out there ranking in Google. So basically it's taking the top 10, 20, or 30 and it's telling you, hey, if you do all of this, you've now created the ultimate article for that keyword phrase based on already what Google likes because it's already ranking in Google. I mean, it's almost like highway robbery. It's so fantastic. I love this. I do it for existing content. I do it for new content. All my writers are trained on this to do it. It makes a huge difference, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, and it doesn't take much time at all. In fact, it takes like 15, 20 minutes for an extensive article. It's really easy to do, and it can make a huge, huge difference. It gives you the confidence that you're actually, publishing stuff that stands a good chance to rank. And that's really important, right? If you're going to go through the effort of actually writing an article and doing the keyword research before that, take the extra few steps and minutes to give it the best chance possible to rank. Otherwise, it's all in vain, right? Add the tags, do the proper formatting, do the content analysis, interlink it with the tightly related articles. All these little add-on tasks, I know they're not the most exciting, they're not as fun as just writing or doing keyword research. These are sort of the things people love to do. But these follow-up tasks can make a really big difference on how well your article performs in Google. And they don't take a lot of time, but they're really well worth doing. And if you really hate doing it and you have some money, you can hire someone to do it for you. Tip number 7. The FAQ, frequently asked questions. This is such a simple, inexpensive way to rank for a lot of really long tail keywords, provide really great content for your readers, and rank better in Google, and even potentially get more links to your content. And it's called the FAQ section. I started doing this about a year and a half ago. I get a ton of traffic as a result of this. So what am I talking about? Well, when you've done, no doubt you've done searches in Google, and you ever notice that you get these little series of questions that pop up below Google, and that has a little drop down arrow, and so they're questions and you can get answers. Well, Google's pulling that from content, and typically they are a result of questions and answers in content. And it's so easy to do this. You do it yourself, and I do it a ton of it. In fact, I do it every day. I'm adding FAQ. Now, you can pepper a question and answer throughout the actual article, so it doesn't have to be in all one section, or you can add a whole FAQ section anywhere in the article. Maybe it's toward the top, maybe it's at the bottom. It doesn't matter. The point is that these questions and these detailed, well-written answers are provided. And then what you do is and this is where a lot of publishers drop the ball, is you get the schema markup. Now, I know this is sounding really technical, and I used to read schema markup, and I'm like, well, what? I don't even get it. I don't want to deal with it. Ostrich head in the sand. I'm not dealing with it. Okay, schema markup. There are free schema markup generators out there. You just use online. You essentially copy and paste your question and answer. It'll give you the code. It's sort of like the ad networks. They just give you the code. You just got to copy and paste it and put it in that article, in the head section of that article, and you will create the schema markup so that your article can have those cool drop-down boxes in Google search. Why would you want that in Google search? Because every time you can take up a little bit more real estate in Google with some content feature or any type of content, you'll want to do that. The more real estate you take up in Google for keyword searches, the more likely you're going to get traffic to your site. It's really important. I would take up the whole page if I could with all this stuff, okay? And that's why I do it. That's why I take the effort to do it. So one really easy way to do it is FAQ. You could come up with the questions yourself. You can use answerthepublic.com. You get 2 free searches a day. It'll generate tons of questions. You can use whichever keyword research tools you use will often come up with questions for you. Pepper your articles with questions and answer. In fact, I do some articles, a lot actually, that the actual title is a question and the answer is the content of the article. And so lots of Q&A, because that's what people search. Tons of people search in Google with a question because they're looking for an answer. And so the questions are so huge at Google search. Embrace it, take advantage of it, use it to your advantage. Hog those Google results. It makes a big difference for your traffic. Tip number 8, infinite scroll. This is where I buck the trend again. I'm a nonconformist and it's made a big difference. And I'll tell you, every time I do something that other sites don't do, because they read really stupid, bad advice. I really get angry with a lot of bloggers out there. And I have a lot of people tell me they appreciate me and I'm a straight shooter about this stuff. There's a lot of people out there give bad information because they don't know what they're talking about. Anybody you read that talks about blogging or publishing websites, ask them what other sites do they own? What others, or they don't have to tell you that because I don't reveal all my specific sites. But do they actually own other sites? Because a lot of people talk about stuff that they know absolutely nothing about. And this is one of those topics, and it's called infinite scroll. And infinite scroll is a huge game changer for my sites. I put infinite scroll on almost every site where it tested to be a huge benefit, and the benefits were massive. And what am I talking about in terms of benefits? Well, first let me answer what infinite scroll is. When you have infinite scroll on a site and you visited sites with it, when you get to the bottom of the article, the next article automatically comes into the screen, and then you can read that article, and then the next, and then the next, and it's called infinite scroll. Why would you want this? Well, I'll tell you why. When you go to those sites and you like the title of the next article, you stay there, right? That means you're on the site a lot longer than you would have been otherwise, because a lot of us on mobile phones just scroll, 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 scroll. We don't use the menus to navigate around. It's not like I go to some news site and I'm like, okay, that was a fun article. Let me go check out the business section. Okay, I want to talk. We don't navigate on phones, we scroll. So give people what they want and let them scroll your site. When I added infinite scroll to my sites, the worst benefit increase in time on site that I got was 58% increase. Okay, that's average time on site. That means the average time a visitor spent on that site increased 58%, which is astronomical. I had one site increase 330%, but just by adding infinite scroll, because people were just scrolling, scrolling, scrolling instead of getting to the end of the article and leaving the site. It's a game changer. Seriously, type Google, ask other bloggers that you know about. They don't use infinite scroll. Ask them whether you should. They'll probably tell you, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Where did they get this from? They probably read it from somebody else who had no idea, and on and on and on it goes. It becomes this sort of like, well, this is just the way things are done. Well, I challenge the way things are done because it just didn't sit well with me, and it didn't make sense. Because I would go to sites, and I love the sites with infinite scroll, because I would just sort of like, oh, a good article, next good article, next good article. I just keep going, right? It made perfectly good sense that it would be a really big benefit for my site. So I added it. It was easy to add. I used the Bimmer theme. All right, the Bimmer theme is the best. I tested 5 themes. I tested a bunch of plugins. Bimmer theme is by far the best for it. There are other options. Whatever you do, just get infinite scroll on your site. It's going to make a huge difference. It's going to add to your time on site. Google loves time on site, and Google tracks this stuff, because the longer your average visitor is on your site, it tells Google that people like your site. And when Google believes or knows or can calculate that people like your site, Google is going to give your site preferential treatment. All right. I mean, if you were on a search engine and you could rank one of 2 sites, and one site had an average time on site of 30 seconds, and the other one had an average time on site of 2 minutes, which site do you think those visitors like more? Yeah, it's a no-brainer. You would give preferential treatment to the site with a longer average time on site. That's what Google does. It makes perfect sense. Use infinite scroll. At least test it. Test it, test it, test it. I only have one site, that's Fat Sex Blog, where I don't have infinite scroll, because users have told me they do like the navigation, and I can tell with the time on site, which is really long and a lot of page views per visitor, they actually do use the navigation, so I didn't put it on there. All my other niche sites have infinite scroll. It's a game changer. Check it out. This tip alone, if you have an existing site, is well worth your time watching this. It was huge for me. And I've talked about this, and it's amazing a lot of people don't do it because they're still worried, because it does go against the grain. In fact, I had ad networks tell me don't do it. Well, you know what? The ad networks will tell you not to do it because they can't necessarily serve the ads on those subsequent, it's a bit of a biased viewpoint, which really kind of gets my goat. I don't really like that because there's a conflict there. Anyways, get it on there. Even if you use ad tech that can't serve the ads on the subsequent scrolls, they can only serve it on the first page view, I still suggest you use infinite scroll. You may not make money on those subsequent scrolls, but it's going to be really, really good for your on-site SEO. So definitely take advantage of that. Moving on to tip number 9, and that is simply long content. Now, not because I think long content is what readers want, but it definitely contributes to that. But think about it this way. The more digital real estate you take up with your articles, the more ads that you can be shown, the longer your ad impressions are, and that means the more money you're going to make. Again, this was a happy accident. I was publishing some really long content several years ago, and the ad networks that I was using, they couldn't believe the amount of revenue I was making per 1,000 visitors. It was way above average, even within that niche. And what it came down to was the fact that my content was really long. Now I'll get into in a couple of minutes about ways you can make it really long. And I wasn't doing it to manipulate anything. The content needed to be really long. But what ended up happening was that the people would stay on the page for quite a while, and these ads would just keep showing and keep showing and keep showing. And so my revenue was huge. The longer and more ads that you have displayed on your site to visitors, the more that they're going to earn. It stands to reason. So to bolster your ad revenue per 1,000 visitors, the key here is to publish really long content. Well, how can you do that? Well, first off, you can write in-depth, good, long content, but it's not just text alone, right? If you just publish text, you're going to leave a lot of money on the table. This is where a lot of people drop the ball. The easiest, fastest, cheapest way to add length to your content is to pepper in a few images. Think about the size of an image. I'm not talking like small image. I'm not talking about left aligned. Don't do any of this left and right aligned nonsense anymore. Back in the day, it was fine when everybody was on a desktop, but everybody's on mobile. They just wreak havoc with mobile. I'm talking about like centered, full width of the content. Get those large images in there. Make sure they're optimized so they display quickly. But you pepper in 3, 4, 5, 6 images throughout a regular text article, you've pretty much doubled the length of your article in terms of how much digital real estate it takes up. That means you've added a lot of potential revenue. Now, I'm not suggesting that if you double the length of your article with this, that you're going to double your revenue. That's not the case, because there are going to be the above the fold ads that are always going to be the most lucrative. So you're not going to double your revenue, but you're going to incrementally add to it. Now, every time you can incrementally add to your ad revenue, do it, all right? Obviously, we want to grow traffic, always want to grow traffic, because more traffic means more revenue, and it also means that you've got a healthier site and that Google likes your site. These are really good signs. But anytime you can squeeze out more money from the same amount of traffic, that's a great opportunity. That's really easy to do. And one way to do that is longer content. Another simple way to increase the length of your content, it's not going to make a huge difference, but I think it's a really important user experience tip, and that is to slightly increase the size of your font. I always sort of scratch my head why some sites have such small font. And to space it out nicely, I like a little bit of line spacing. You want lots of white space. If everything is all scrunched up together, it's hard to read. You want to use a lot of paragraphs, you don't want this big wall of text that readers have to you'd be almost blind. You're trying to read it, you lose track of which line. You don't want any of that. Make it a very easy user experience. Lots of headings will create more space. So you do all of these things, a little larger font, a little extra spacing between the lines, maybe even a little extra character spacing, some big headings throughout the article with space above and below. This is going to extend the length of your article, but it's more importantly, I actually really do this because it makes for a much easier article to read online, particularly phones. You always check your site on your phone regularly, because we work generally on desktops. We don't work on the mobile phones, so we don't really know what's going on there. Don't ignore that, because you're probably going to have more traffic on mobile devices than you will desktop. So you really want to make sure your site's looking good on mobile. Anyway, a couple of really simple ways to increase the length of your content. The FatStacks bundle of courses that I'll get to in a little bit here, opportunity to get it at a nice discount, covers a lot of additional ways, clever ways. Not only do they extend the length of your content, they make for way better content for your users, way better. Like, people love this stuff. And the most important thing is they are basically what I call linkable assets, or link bait. These are methods that you're going to create content that other sites are going to link to you because it's so cool. And I'm not going to get into it here. It's in the bundle, but these are my favorite ways to increase the length of the article. Not only do I make more money, I get links, I rank more keywords, I get more traffic. It's just a win-win-win across the board. Tip number 10. Okay, this is the final one I'm going to go through. I know I've given you a ton of information, the absolute best things that I'm doing and have learned over the years. This final tip is the reason I'm able to basically own and run and grow a 50,000 plus per month publishing business on roughly maybe 30 minutes per day of actual my oversight. And that is thanks to outsourcing. I hire people to run all little different aspects of the site. I hire writers. I got people who actually format the content. They get images. They optimize the images. They do outreach, contact other publishers for permissions to use various images and all these things. I have people hired for every little specific task that's involved. That's a recurring task so that I don't have to do it. My involvement is coming up with the topics for new articles, which doesn't take me very long, and just to oversee that everything's looking good. I usually rip through and just double check the titles. I want to make sure the titles are good, and I spot check articles here and there and make sure everything is looking good on the site. And that's all I do. I just got to come up with topics, I send them to the writers, and the rest of it takes care of itself. Okay, and this is absolutely amazing. It's a huge benefit of this business because I'm able to have this really valuable asset generate a really good monthly income, plus it grows in value. I can sell it at some point for a huge multiple of what it actually earns every month, and it only requires roughly on average 30 minutes of my attention a day. Some days I don't even deal with it. Other days I may spend an hour or two to do some fine-tuning and additional work, but the point is it's really part-time, and that's what makes it almost passive. And it's amazing, and I don't have to pay anyone like a super expensive marketing salary of 6 figures to run the site. It's just I've trained people in individual positions to handle all of it, and it works really, really well. Now, if you're getting started, probably you're not going to outsource anything, and that's fine. I didn't outsource for a couple of years. When it was time to outsource, the first thing I did is I started hiring people to write content. Content is the most labor intensive, so you definitely want to get that off your plate as much as possible. It doesn't mean you have to stop writing, but the more content you get out the door and publish on your site, the quicker it's going to grow. So as soon as you start getting some revenue in, and if you can afford it, you get a writer on board. It can be part-time, it can be using a writer service, a writer agency, whatever it is, get somebody else to start generating that content because it's so labor intensive. In fact, the biggest part of my budget in terms of outsourcing, it goes to content. And it's really important that because that's my product. And if you're publishing a content blog or website as well, it's your product. You're basically providing content and you're monetizing with ads and affiliate links. And so that's how I view it. And so I need to deploy as much to it as possible and make sure I'm putting out a really good product. So outsourcing that. After that, what you start doing is you start breaking down every little task that you tend to do on a daily or weekly basis, and you figure out how you can get that off your plate. You want to keep moving everything off your plate as much as possible until you're left with basically coming up with topics and overseeing that the site is well run. At that point, you are free to do pretty much whatever you want for most of the day, every day of the week, which is a really nice position to be in. I get the opportunity to make presentations like this, which I really enjoy doing, and I launched a few other sites, which also take up a bit of my time, and so I have filled that time up with other pursuits, and I'm happy to do that. I don't go and sit and watch TV all day. I've done other things, but I really like the fact that I have a really high revenue site, I should say a handful of sites that produce me a really good living without a lot of involvement because I'm able to train and I pay people to handle all of those individual tasks. Now, how much does content cost? That's going to vary, but don't be penny wise pound stupid here, okay? If you want good content, you really do need to get good content, you need to pay for it. Now, a good writing agency, something like Writer Access is something I still use. You need to pay at a very minimum 4 cents per word, but I would suggest 6 cents a word will get you good content. 8 cents a word will get you outstanding content, but 6 cents a word is kind of a sweet spot for you. Same if you're going to use a writer service where you give them all your topics and they're going to drip feed the content back to you. You're generally looking at the 4 to 6 cents a word, maybe a bit more if they do some additional work for you. If you hire in-house, you get an opportunity to pay less than that for better content. Now, I have a whole handful of in-house writers that I've hired. I'm not going to get into where I hired them, how much I pay, how I pay them. I actually pay them in a unique way. Again, I went against the trend and I pay them in a unique way that's getting me the best content I've ever published in my life at around 3.5 cents per word, which is almost half of what I would pay with the other services. So that's in the bundle, that's in the course bundle that you can get. There's gonna be a discount coming up shortly here. I cover that extensively because this is really, really important that we get the content, publish it as best as we can for the lowest cost possible. And I have figured out how to do that with in-house writers. Well, that's a wrap. And that was a lot of info. And if you're still watching, thanks, because that was a lot of detailed info that I went through about this business. Now, those are my very best tips. If anybody, if a good friend came to me, and in fact, I do actually help some close friends who are interested in this business that, you know, I hang out with here. They come to me and they say, John, I need to, you know, I spare no detail. These are the 10 things I tell them. I sit them down and this is what I tell them. And now I'm telling you them. And they're very valuable, and I've learned them because I'm in the trenches, not because I've read them. In fact, I go against the trend. And going against the trend sometimes will get you spectacular results because you're actually doing the right thing that nobody else is. And I love it when that happens. I love those opportunities. They work out really, really well. In my wrap up here, and before I get into talking about the actual bundle, I'm going to give you a lot of detail about what you get in the bundle because I know you're curious about what could there possibly be in addition to what I've already talked about. But I get a common question I get is, John, do you do any link building? Do you go out and build links? No. The answer is no. I focus on, as I talked about, the long tail, low competition keywords. I slowly build up my sites. And you're probably thinking, well, why don't you? Because I've read so much that link building is so awesome and you get lots of traffic. Well, yes, I agree. Actually, link building, I'm not saying not to do it, and I'm not saying I'll never do it, and I'm not saying that it doesn't work. It increases your risk a little bit, okay? I have a multi-million-dollar site that I built up over the years. That's what it's valued. That's what I can sell it for right now, and it produces a very good living. I am not going to increase the risk of that site getting hurt in the search engines to build some links at this point. That's just not worth it. If you're starting out or you got some throwaway sites, by all means build links. You can probably, you know, the risk reward is worth it. But if you have a really, really solid generating revenue machine, don't risk it with building links because these sites can go down in flames. You never recover them. And you know, basically it's like kissing away millions of dollars or tens of thousands per month. So that's why I don't build links. That's not to say I never will. That's not to say I wouldn't on new projects. It comes down to risk reward. Next up, I want to talk about the course bundle itself. Now, at this point, you might be asking, well, what could there be after you've told us so much already in this presentation? Well, there is a lot. The bundle is a result of over 18 months of building out a series of courses, which are called modules, and they're all included. There is an absolute ton. It's the A to Z of what I do publishing niche sites, growing them from actually coming up with the niche idea to actually getting the site live on the web, all the way up to monetization, traffic, and everything you need, including a huge module on driving a lot of traffic from Pinterest. It's everything I do in absolute detail. It's a combination of video tutorials, text written documents, and in some cases I do both. So let's step through every single module that you get so you get a firm understanding of what it is that you get in the bundle. The first is what I call the WordPress tutorials, okay? This is a simple 6 video series stepping you through. In fact, it's over-the-shoulder videos of me actually building a niche site from scratch. You'll see how I actually use the server, the hosting software, the one that I started with at $5 per month, how I set it up on there, how I get the site live, what tools I use to actually build the site. Pretty much everything of it is free stuff and get your site live, how to get an article on the site, everything you need to know to actually get your site from concept or idea live on the web. So you're not, and not only that, you're going to see exactly how I do it, which theme I use, everything I do for my niche sites, you're going to see it in this short 6 video series. The next module is all about the long tail keywords. Remember I talked about in this presentation how a huge game changer was actually finding the best obscure topics that I could rank in Google very easily. Well, I have come up with a series of 10 ways of finding these types of keywords with a variety of software tools that have made a huge difference for me. And I actually do over-the-shoulder videos. I'm going to show you every little step of the process that I use, a number of ways to dig and uncover these absolute gem keywords that you can then write your articles about, or have writers write articles about, and stand a much better chance of actually ranking your content quickly without expensive or risky link building. The third module is what I call Content Site Autopilot. Remember I said how important content is, and it's essentially our product, the product that I'm putting out there. You know, Apple makes and sells iPhones, okay? Gap makes and sells jeans. Well, I produce content. That's the product. And so I have an entire module called Content Site Autopilot, which not only shows you how I go about creating really good content and planning it out, but I also provide you all the briefs you need, or the brief outlines and the instructions that I use for every different type of article. And I publish all different types of articles across my sites that I use for my writers. And you can literally copy and paste these and obviously make a few adjustments for topic-wise and so forth for your writer and have them get underway. Or you can use these for yourself as a way to quickly outline and come up with your own topics. It's a really valuable course. I put a lot into it because content is so important. And here's another thing about my course bundle. I continually add to it. I update it throughout the year. When I do something different, or I do something that's making a big difference with my business, I add to that, or I'll take away content that's obsolete and I'll swap it out with whatever is working. So I'm continually updating it, and generally what I do is fairly evergreen, so it's not like I'm adding 30 updates every month. But whenever anything relevant changes to what I'm doing in my business, or I do something new, it gets added to the course. So just keep that in mind. It's not like you're going to have outdated content. This is all totally up to date, including the Content Site Autopilot module. The fourth module is all about on-site SEO. Okay, I love on-site SEO because I have control over it. And basically what you want to do is you want to get your site working so that it's communicating as clearly as it should be with Google, which is a computer. Google is a computer. They don't have people, there ranking, manually ranking your sites. It's a computer, and you want your site to communicate as clearly as possible with that computer. And while I am not a super tech SEO guru type person, I've streamlined this process. And at the end of the day, I get way more traffic than most people who write about SEO out there anyway. So, I've made it simple. It should be simple. SEO should really be simple. It should not be complicated. And I get way more traffic than most people who even talk about SEO or sell SEO. So they could do all the complex tactics that they want. At the end of the day, it's simple. I have a whole module stepping you through exactly what I do, and there's some pretty clever things in there. Again, it's not complicated, but it makes a big difference. And so because SEO is important, and because you want your site set up for success, I have a whole module dedicated to it, but it's not complicated, so don't be intimidated by it. Module 5 is clever. It's the cleverest module or course that I've put together. And basically what I do is I teach you how to create content that is going to stand a far better chance than normal to attract links from other websites. Okay, remember I said I don't build links, but I get a lot of links to my site. In fact, across my sites, I have over 10,000 other websites linking to my sites. Over 10,000. Now, it didn't happen overnight, but it did happen because I'm pretty clever about how I publish content that gets the attention of other sites, and they want to link to me. And that's what that entire module is. It's really simple. You don't need to spend any money. It's clever. You can actually do this stuff in minutes. It makes your content a lot better. You can add it to any of your existing content and do it for your new content. This module alone, if it gets you 2 links, it would pay for that's the value of this entire bundle. All right, like seriously, like this is really smart stuff. It's something I figured out over the years because I pay attention to what I do and I'm in the trenches. So you'll love this. It's pretty clever. Module 6 goes into every detail about monetizing your site with display ads. In fact, I show you where the ads should go. For every different ad network that I suggest, I explain where to put the ads, things to watch out for. Every detail I've learned over many years using various display ad networks, including AdSense, Ezoic. And then, of course, if you upgrade to some premium outfit like Mediavine or AdThrive, I discuss that. But, you know, most people are going to be at the AdSense or Ezoic stage. And if you are, there's a lot of good information you really need to know, and I step you through every detail there because I've used them extensively. I used AdSense for years, I used Ezoic for years. I know them both inside and out. I know how to squeeze as much money out of them as possible. You definitely want to check out that module if you're using either or both of those ad networks. Right, module 7 is interesting because it's all about Pinterest. Now in 2020, I started getting an absolute truckload of traffic from Pinterest. And it was awesome because it's another source of traffic. It was so easy. I was like spending a few extra minutes for every article that I published. Now each article that writers would write, we go through the whole workflow system. It would be hours of work and it would cost a lot. And then here I could just do a few more minutes of extra work, and I started getting a lot of traffic from Pinterest, and talk about like a really, really nice bonus. Okay, so I started paying attention. I started scaling it up. I've hired some people to help with the Pinterest, and I'm now getting between 225 and 350,000 visitors a month from Pinterest. And I step you through the entire process in the course. It's extensive. It's detailed. It follows the Pinterest terms of service to a T. It's really smart stuff, but it's also straightforward that anybody can do. Now, just one caveat. It only applies to niches that are Pinterest friendly. It's not going to apply to every single niche out there. You know, if you're in a business niche, it's not so good with Pinterest. So it has to be a sort of a visual niche where this is going to apply. And the final module is what I call niche exponential. And this, not to toot my own horn, again, this is clever. This again is a result of me doing this for years. And this is what I call an add-on bonus or revenue stream that you can add on to most niches. Not all niches, but most niches will have this add-on. And it's a way to create recurring revenue for your niche site. It's really clever and it works. It does take a little bit of time. It's smart, it's simple. It's worked wonders for me. It's something I've been doing for a long time. Definitely have a look. It's not for everyone. Not every niche site owner is going to want to do this, but if you do it, you're going to really love it. And I've had a lot of people email me to say like, that is really smart, John. I like that. And so this is all sort of an add-on to a lot of different niches that you can do to create a nice recurring revenue stream. Now, do I offer a refund if you're not happy with this entire bundle? Yes, I do. No questions. Within 30 days of purchase, just contact me. It's very easy to do. All my contact information is inside the course or on the blog at fatstacksblog.com. Contact me. Just say, hey, John, I didn't really. You don't even have to give a reason. Just say, I'd like to have a refund. And no problem. I'll get it issued very, very quickly. Okay, so there's pretty much no risk at all with getting and trying this bundle, except a little bit of your time. Now, you know, I've bought courses I'm not happy with. Usually, if I find something like 1 or 2 or 3 tips that help my business, usually those benefits are so big that it's more than covered whatever I spent on the course. And so this course, if you're new to this, is going to offer an absolute tremendous amount of value. But if you already have an existing site and you're earning really, really well, I am very, very sure that there are going to be a few nuggets of information in here that you have never tried or done or thought of, and that is going to make a big difference to your business. I mean, any one of the 10 that I talked about today would make a huge difference and did make a huge difference for me. There's a lot more of that inside the bundle. So no questions asked, refund within 30 days. Just contact me. I'll take care of it for you. What else do you get? Okay, this is really cool, and this is something that has been growing now well over a year, and it's become one of the most valuable resources that people who buy the bundle get, and that is access to the Fat Stacks private forum. This is not a Facebook group. I didn't set up a Facebook group because I don't like Facebook groups. I find a lot of the valuable information that gets contributed to over time just gets buried into this feed that you can never find. I've always liked the forum format because you actually got a search function and stuff is categorized, and it's easy to find a lot of really valuable information that people have contributed to, and including myself, you know, maybe 6 months ago, and so on and so forth. So I created a private forum, and it's in the old forum format. It works great on mobile. There's well over 1,000 members already in there. Some people have bigger sites than I do. They make way more money than I do. They contribute regularly. The value that they contribute is amazing. And I contribute. I'm in there almost daily, Monday to Friday. I answer questions. I'll post my own interesting things that I've learned and insights, and it's become this massive valuable resource for bloggers and people who are publishing online. So this is included. This is not additional. This is included with the course bundle purchase. Okay, why do I call it a bundle? Okay, it's a backstory. Okay, this has been 18 months in the creating, and the reason it took 18 months is I created every module as a standalone course initially. All right, and so each module is extensive because it's an actual course. And then once I got through all the courses that I thought were going to round out the A to Z of what I do as a blogger, I bundle them up. I use a platform called Teachable, where you log in and you access the whole curriculum. And so they made it really easy to bundle. And so then I put every individual course together to create a bundle. So I call it the Fat Stacks bundle. And so you get everything because people are asking, that's what they wanted. It's at a way discounted. If you bought them all separately, it would cost you way more. So I created this bundle. If you want to buy them separately, you can, but it's not really economical. This bundle is priced, especially on this webinar right now. I am offering a huge discount. I'll get into pricing next, but right now it's hugely discount on this webinar. When the webinar ends, which is in a little bit, the discount is no longer going to be available, so please keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk discount. Let's talk pricing. How much are we talking about for the bundle? Well, right now, if you get it before the end of this webinar, this is your chance to get it for $200 off its regular price. Now, you're not going to see this discount again. This is a huge discount. It's a huge percentage off the regular price. So be sure to check it out and go click through and grab it today. Again, 30-day, no questions asked refund. This is the best discount you're going to get. It's a huge percentage. This is priced comparable to what other courses and programs are out there. This is a fairly inexpensively priced course or series of courses. And this is based not off someone who has only read about how to do this, who only has one site and they use the same site to talk about how to blog, and then they put together a course about how to actually start creating a blog. No, this is by me. This is 6 years in the making, and then it was another 18 months of actually putting all the courses together. This is a tremendous amount of work based on proven results. This course is not about how I grew my Fat Stacks blog website and selling courses, and I monetize selling courses and do affiliate. It has nothing to do with that. That's a totally separate business. This is actually in the trenches, real life niche sites such as, I'm in I'll tell you, I'm in the smartwatch niche. I'm in another niche that I'm not going to tell you about because there's quite a bit of competition, but it's awesome. I'm in the fashion apparel niche. Go figure. I love that niche. I'm actually having a ton of fun. I'm in the travel niche. Okay, so I'll tell you, these are like real world sites, and that's what I'm doing, and that's how I make a living, and they're fun for me. This is not just, I'm not a one site wonder and I'm telling you how to build a one site wonder. I'm talking about all these other niches. If you love knitting or crocheting or quilting, or you play basketball, or you're a golfer, or you are into finance and investing and you've got your credentials, and whatever it is that you have an interest or professional experience in, you can create a very valuable site about that, and it's so much fun. So I have been doing this for years. This is what the entire bundle is about. Right now, you can save $200 off the regular price. It's a huge percentage off the regular price. You're not going to see this discount opportunity again. When it's done, it's over at the end of this webinar. So take advantage of it today. Again, just email me if you don't like the course, if you don't find anything valuable in it, and you'll get a refund. Okay, I want to wrap this up with answering more frequently asked questions. These are questions I get from people who read the Fat Stacks newsletters, thousands and thousands of people. So they email me regularly. Visit the blog, YouTube channel, whatever, and they get in touch with me. They have these questions. Here's a condensed list of the most frequently asked questions. Okay, the first question, How long does it take to build up a sizable revenue stream from niche sites and blogs? Okay, well, that's obviously the million-dollar question. It's going to vary on a lot of different things. Okay, first off, it depends how much time you have to devote to it. If you're working a full-time job and you've got a family, you're not going to have a lot of time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be very difficult to come up and put out enough content to really grow this, unless you're able to invest some money with hiring writers in the process. Okay, so that is a very difficult situation to be in. If you work part-time or you've got a lot of disposable time, you can focus on this, it's going to go much faster. Okay, assuming you're able to work on it diligently and consistently, you could get some really good results in about 2 to 3 years. And I know that sounds like a long time. It took me quite some time to get to these levels as well. And this is not something that's going to happen overnight. So don't buy my bundle expecting that next week you're going to be rolling in the money. That's not how this works. You're building up a publishing business. You're building up search traffic. You're potentially building up YouTube traffic. All of this takes time, but if you stick with it and keep at it, eventually you get this stable benchmark traffic and revenue. And it's really cool because right now I'm in a situation where, I mean, it's only been 6 years since I launched a site. I mean, think about that. It's not a long time, 2014, and now it's making over $50,000 a month. In fact, there were some months it was hitting like, I think 70 plus thousand bucks per month for one website. And I launched it just 6 years ago. Okay, so yeah, the first year or two, that's tough. I worked hard. I didn't really make a lot of money from it. But after that, things just really grew. So that's all I can tell you about how long it takes. It's not going to be an overnight thing. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, but you got to be committed. Again, that's why I really suggest choose a niche you're really interested in, because you're going to be motivated. You're going to actually stick with it. Another common question is, can you sell these niche sites? I've already alluded to it. Yes, you can. It's really amazing. In fact, the amount that these sites can sell for, they're called content sites. That's distinguished from, say, an e-commerce site or a drop shipping site or something else like that, or you're selling software or something like that. These are content sites. They're in huge demand. And so not only can you enjoy a really nice revenue stream, at some point you could sell them from anywhere from 25 up to 40 plus times the net monthly income. So if a site is earning $5,000 a month net income and you get 30 times that, the monthly income, that's 150,000 bucks. So not only do you enjoy the $5,000, you then get to cash out for 150,000. Now, that's why when I say my site is worth, a couple million bucks, it actually is based on 50, 60,000 dollars per month net income. You take that, multiply it by 30 to 40 times, and you hit a couple $1 million. So yeah, this is no joke. These are valuable sites. It's a real business. They sell quickly. The demand is huge right now, and it's going up. So it's a good time to get in with this, and it's a nice way to even work toward, a potential retirement cash out, right? That's sort of my view of it. I don't usually sell all that many sites. I tend to hold on to them and focus on the ones that are working well, with the view that at one day in the future, I'm going to cash them out. Another question I get is, do you need to be incorporated or set up a company to do any of this business? Well, yeah, I'm incorporated. You can. I think if you're starting out, it's not really necessary. And it's also going to depend on your country too. I mean, there's going to be people who are from England and Ireland and the US and Australia and India and Russia, and people from all over the world will visit FatStacks, and so it really depends on your country. I mean, Ken and I did incorporate. I think in the US there are things called LLCs, which is a lot simpler than a company, and it's cheaper to run with taxes and so forth. I recommend you just talk to an accountant, seriously, because for me, incorporating, this is a long story, I'm not getting into it, but I had a corporation, and so I probably did it way sooner than I would have otherwise. It's very expensive in Canada to have a corporation because of how much it costs to pay accountants to deal with it. It's a lot more expensive than just my personal tax return. So there's a lot of things. Just talk to a professional. You don't have to be incorporated though, so you don't have to worry about go out and have to deal with all this stuff. You can just start with just under your personal, I suspect, in most countries, so don't worry about that. Another question is do I need to pay for Facebook ads or advertising or Google ads to get started? No, absolutely not. I've dabbled with ads over the years. I don't typically run ads day in and day out, and if I do, it's a very small percentage. But most people who do this build up huge sites, never spend a nickel on advertising, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to set aside an ad budget whatsoever. You can just start with the cheap hosting and go from there. The next question I get a lot, and this is from somebody who's kind of in the know, who has an existing site and knows the industry a bit, is should I accept guest posts on my site? And I'm really I'm excited to accept them because it's free content and I don't have to pay for it. Okay, this is a really important question. 2 years ago, I would say yes. In fact, I publish a lot of guest posts. Basically, what a guest post is I've got a site, somebody wants a link or they want promotion for the site, so they contact me and they say, hey, I've got this article, it's this topic, and can you publish it? It's not published anywhere else. All I ask for is that you keep the links that I put in there, and the win for me, of course, as publishers, I get free content, and the win for them is they get a link, right? That's the whole guest posting or publishing industry in a nutshell. 2 years ago, yeah, I did quite a bit of it. Now I would say yes, but be very, very, very judicious. I accept maybe 1% of the pitches, and the only reason I will now publish guest posts is if the person demonstrates that they are a true expert in their field. They've got to have credentials. I want their expertise on my site because that bolsters my site with that expertise. Otherwise, I'm not interested. If it's some outreach SEO agency who's just pitching me and they got a bunch of hack writers who don't know anything, then I'm not interested in having that content on my site. I think it takes away from the site. I'm not interested in it. I'd rather have my own writers contribute because they know what they're doing, and that's my view. I don't want to link to some lousy product review site from my site. I want to link out to sites that I think are a true resource for my readers. So that's the stance I take today. That's what I overall would suggest that other people do as well. Okay, next question, extending from the whole building up passive income, is how do you get a niche site to be 100% passive? Okay, I'm not 100% passive. I'm close. I put maybe on average 30 minutes per day into my site. Some days more, some days less. Okay, how do you get 100% passive? You get to build up a really good revenue stream and you hire a true professional who can basically replace you. Once you get there, that's my next step. I actually like what I do. I like the 30 minutes paying attention to it. I don't want to just hand over everything and never look at it. I like to be involved. But I imagine at some point I may hire a true professional who's going to probably cost me 6 figures, who's going to step in and handle what I do. And so that's how you take it to the level where basically it's 100% passive. But seriously, I really can't complain at 15 to 30, 40 minutes a day to run and manage a site that's generating over 50 grand a month. I mean, that's a pretty good situation to be in. But it is possible. Okay, next common question I get is, does blog or niche site revenue go up like every month consistently? No, actually it doesn't. This is a bit of one of those ups and downs types of businesses. So, there's seasonal aspects. So, if your site might perform better during summer, might perform better during winter. So you can have those ups and downs. Actually, ad rates will fluctuate over the course of the year. Your own traffic is going to fluctuate. You may, have a 6 months where you have some growth and you plateau, and then you might go down a little bit and you might go up. So you'll see this sort of like, it fluctuates, but the overall trend over 6 years has been that it's gone up, up, and up, and up. Okay, but I've had some years where I've gone down a little bit, and then the next year I'm gonna go up way a bit, and so that's how it is. So it's not every month I get more growth. Okay, so don't expect that. Do my sites earn any affiliate revenue? Yes, they actually do. It's approximately 5 to 10% of them. I'm trying to grow it, but it's not really a focus of mine. I like affiliate revenue, but I really much prefer to do display ad revenue, as I've talked about extensively already in the training earlier. But yeah, I mean, I do affiliate marketing. It's not like I have anything against affiliate marketing. I think it's a great business model. I love it. I like the affiliate revenue I generate. But my focus is because I like the content I can produce and earn money from display ads. That's what I focus on. Do I build email newsletters with all my niche sites? Actually, no. FatStack's blog I do, but that's a totally separate, different business model, so don't really follow that. I actually did build up a 65,000 subscriber email list with one of my niche sites. I really had a hard time monetizing it. It was a lot of work, and the email autoresponders and all the software involved, that gets very expensive with that number of subscribers. So I was spinning my wheels. I wasn't making much money on it, so I just gave it up. So I do recommend you try it though. All you really need is a few hundred or 1,000 subscribers to see if you can make money from it. Because if you can, it can be very, very powerful, lucrative revenue stream. But it's not going to work in every niche, and it didn't work for me. And I don't really foresee that I'm in any niche right now where it's going to be something that would work out all that great. But keep an open mind. I suggest it's worth trying. It's not to say I won't try down the road, but for now, no, I don't have any big lucrative email newsletters for any of my niche sites other than FatStacks blog. Do I build up and run a YouTube channel for any of my niche sites? Again, no. I've not really gotten into YouTube or video production at all. A little bit with FatStacks, but even then, it's not a focus. For me, it's the blog, it's the text, it's the content on the site. That's not to say I wouldn't in the future. I think YouTube has tremendous, tremendous, tremendous opportunity there. If you are really good at making videos and you prefer that over writing, I think a lot of niches could just blow up and be hugely successful with just video alone. So it's not that I don't like it. It's not that I don't believe in it. It's not a skill set I have. I don't know. I've never really put much time into producing videos, so it's not something I'd have to outsource so much of it. It is very expensive to outsource video editing and video production and all that. So it's not really something I do, but I would love to get my revenue up even higher and be in a position to have a team or an arm that could produce videos regularly, because I think there's a terrific opportunity there. I'm going to wrap it up with the final question that I get, and that is, well, what is the hardest part of this entire business model? I would say in a nutshell, it's the patience required, because you're going to work hard and not see any real results for some time, and that's very, very difficult, and it can be very frustrating, and I hear that from a lot of people, and for me that was hard too. But I was really bound and determined. Like I knew that this was the right thing for me to do, and I really sucked it up, and I put in the time, I put in the effort. Now I'm really grateful that I did. But those first year, 2 or 3 years, it's very frustrating. You need a lot of patience, and that is definitely the hardest part of this entire business for sure. It's not like you go out and you buy a coffee shop and you put in the 100,000 or whatever it is, and you have an immediate income. Okay, that's not what this is. You're bootstrapping from nothing. Now, that said, you could, if you do have, let's say, a lump sum of money, you could buy a site with cash flow, and so that you do have an actual income right now, and a lot of people have done that. And if you make it work out and you're smart about it and you buy the right site, it can actually be a very smart thing to do. You're taking your, let's say, $100,000, and you're enjoying an income right off the bat, and then you can hopefully grow that into something extremely valuable. That's a wrap. That is the presentation. Thanks so much. Right now, this is your last chance to save $200 on my course bundle. And again, no questions asked, 30-day refund. Once this webinar is over, there's no opportunity to save the $200. That's going to be the last chance. I really appreciate you watching this. I hope you got something out of it. I pretty much, shared a lot of really good detail through the FAQ, through all of the 10 tips, through concerns people have. I really appreciate watching. Thanks again. I should say, if you get the bundle, thank you. And I really look forward to meeting you in the forum, because I'm there regularly. It's a great place for support. It's a great place to ask me questions. It's a great place to meet other people. So yes, I look forward to seeing you on there as well.